Chris, you say it's sad that the Congress perhaps know the tax code better than they do the Bible. The real sad part is they expect you to obey the tax code more than you do the Bible. That's sad. Chris talked about the things that Congressman Gray voted no on. He voted no on TARP. That was President Bush's proposal. It was bad. He voted no. He voted no on the auto bailouts. Good. He voted no on cap and trade. Right. Now, I don't know if you've heard, but there's a few people that say that Congressman Grave and his party is the party of no. You heard that?
Yeah.
When I was growing up, I got told no a few times, and I think that made me a little better because the adults were in charge, and sometimes you need to say no.
Right.
And that's what Congressman Grave is doing for us. I have your solution to your tax problem. You obviously didn't use TurboTax because Tim Geithner used TurboTax and it worked for him for a while. So we need to tax reform because the more the government takes of your money, the less freedom you have. And we surrender a lot of freedom in this country, and it's time that we started taking that freedom back and started as an electorate, as just was mentioned, of saying no to the people who want to have bigger government, and yes to those who understand that government exists to serve us, not us to serve government. And that's why Candidate Obama said that he would not, absolutely under any condition whatsoever, raise any tax on anybody who makes less than $250,000. The very first tax that he had passed was the tobacco tax. And I heard Grover Norquist, head of Americans for Tax Reform, say at a meeting the other day, said that as far as he knows, President Obama is the only guy who makes more than $250,000 that smokes. The rest of the people make a whole lot more. And so he's already broken the promise before he even got started. And with cap and trade, I keep calling cap and tax, and the government-run healthcare proposal, you haven't seen anything yet when it comes to taxes. And tax reform is important because Congressman Graves gets it. Congressman Graves gets the fact that if the more you pay to government, the less you have to spend in your community. And government spending does not help our economy. Your spending does. Go out and buy a new Harley. That helps your economy. Taxes matter. Spending matters. And the one thing about tax reform, and as I said last night, I think there's one or two fair tax people out here. Tax reform and the fair tax, for example, scrapping the code prohibits government from spending too much money because if they haven't got it, well, the federal government does, but they continue to print money. But if we have the right people in office to help Congressman Graves out, they won't do that anymore. So taxes matter, spending matter, and we need to make it happen. Matter of fact, Congressman Graves is a co-sponsor of the fair tax proposal in Washington. Tax reform is the only government reform that has been proven to work. Whether it's a tax cut, President Kennedy learned that tax cut helped our economy. President Reagan knew it. And even in the early term of President Bush, to get our country started after the last recession, tax cuts, tax reform helped. But the only way the tax reform is really going to help us if it's major tax reform and not just a revision of the 13 times the size of the Bible sort of tax reform that we have. And as has been said, you are the key to making that happen. America's prosperity, and I told somebody earlier, said this is as close as I get to Jesse Jackson, so stay with me. America's prosperity is about educate, communicate, and activate. Unfortunately, we have to educate too many people on why free markets are important. We have to educate people why it's not a good thing to tax small businesses like a Harley dealership or the other guy's business because it comes out of our community. But we have to do that. So then we have to communicate to you about what's going on. How many of y'all got calls, emails, and stuff about cap and tax and to call your congressman? We talk about freedom works, America's prosperity. We all do that, and it's important that you weigh in. And it's important that even though you know that you have a congressman that's going to stand up for what you believe in, that you still call him because he needs that support. And he needs to be able to tell his fellow congressmen, the ones that will listen, that you are behind him, and he knows that because of meetings like this. But continue to contact him. And then we need to activate you. I got banned from a state senator's office a couple weeks ago because of these fair tax people. But because I actually had the audacity to give out the state telephone number of a state senator who you pay for his telephone, by the way, and ask people to call his office. And his chief of staff didn't like that, so I'm banned from his office for the next year, at least. I say for the next year because he's term limited and I'll deal with somebody else. But you are the key. 573-751-2056. But you are the key. You are the ones that will make this change, and without you, Congressman Graves is powerless. You have to get activated. You have to get it done in 2010, 2012, and every election. You need to make it happen because you're the key. You'll get it done. Thank you all very much.